Hello, welcome to today's episode of Constructive Conversations. I'm your host, Nick Svikowskis. This is the podcast where we explore the mindset and actionable approaches that empower entrepreneurs to achieve success in all areas of life and inspire others with the confidence to chase their own big dreams. The reason I do this podcast is because 10 years ago, I knew I wanted to start my own business. I had no idea where to start, no role models or mentors. So the goal is to provide the inspiration for new entrepreneurs to take that leap and to provide fuel for those who are already doing it. I'm excited to introduce Dylan, our guest today, a seasoned entrepreneur who spent over 12 years building businesses from the ground up. After nearly burning out in 2019 and closing a business, Dylan knew he needed a change. Now a proud father of two boys under 2.5, his focus is clear, building a successful business without sacrificing family time. Dylan's the founder of Profit Launchpad, a consultancy agency hybrid that helps service businesses streamline operations, boost profitability, and scale businesses. He's passionate about helping business owners break free from the chaos and build systems that truly work for them. So with Dylan today, we talk about making trades companies more efficient and profit focused. He talks about moving from the mining industry, building multiple businesses, moving forward quickly with a minimum viable product, using mentorship to make decisions in business, systems, processes, how to improve them, the benefits of running your own company, how to help your customers solve their problem. Then we get into personal branding, why that's important and relevant for your business, creating content, and connecting with nature and moments of quiet and how that relates back to business. This is a great episode. You're going to want to listen right to the end. So Dylan, thanks so much for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So to start, can you talk about your company and what it does and how it came to be?
For sure. So after I closed the business in 2019, I went and worked as an operational consultant with a private equity company, specifically for trades companies. We were doing roll-ups of roofing companies, mostly in Texas, actually. And that was because I'm an operator by heart. I have been most of my career, and then I was actually in like trades and mining, mostly blue collar work, for like I'd say 80% of my career. So it was a good fit. And we started a little company. We kind of worked as a contractor for a large private equity firm. And when it was going really well, but what I didn't really like about it was we were buying companies, rolling them up, and then selling them kind of as a larger package. And what I didn't love about it is that the deals we were giving the private equity firm felt like the deals we should have been giving to the owner of the trades company. And so I looked at it from a different perspective and said, a lot of these owners, if they had invested 50 grand, 100 grand, 250 grand, whatever it may be, in their operations and their sales, and grown their businesses for another year or two in like a really structured way that we know how to do, then they'll make a ton more money on the sale. But because they were selling before that, of course, the value wasn't there. So I left that, started my own business, Profit Launchpad, focused specifically on like mid 7-figure trades companies, helping them sort out their internal operations, becoming more efficient, moving the company more profit focused. But since then, also we've realized that a ton of the people coming in to ask us for help and support are your smaller companies, maybe early 6 figures, high 6 figures, low 7 figures, and that they're struggling with concepts and ideas that I've seen like replicated over and over and over and over again. But the guys who run the companies just aren't super aware that they exist, right? They just don't know what they don't know, type of deal. And so we started a coaching program this year. Is actually how we got connected through Dan Martell's. I joined Dan Martell's elite mastermind to learn more clearly and better on how to run a really great coaching program. And the coaching program for us is like very actionable, very implementation focused, and really like resolving the kind of the 4 main issues, which is either like you're not getting enough leads, you're not making enough sales, you're not making any profit on projects, or you're managing your cash really poorly. And so we kind of discover which track a person is in, and then work to resolve that with them, training them how to do it before they go hire an agency, or they hire an outside consultant or something like that to do like do that, whatever that process is for them, they can learn how to do it. So that's something I'm super excited about this year, and really seeing great results already. Our true focus here is like, we just want to see specifically blue collar entrepreneurs have a easier path to like the more family time. Like I said, like you said in my bio, that's something that's very important to me, spending a lot of time with my boys and my wife. And so if they can have an easier path by making a little bit more money or working a little bit less, then our job is done pretty much.
That's great. So you saw that gap in your previous role where you were packaging up these companies to be sold, and you said, hey, wait a minute, if somebody was there to help these guys create more of a profitable, structured business, it would be more valuable when it came time to sell, or they could have a business that they didn't need to sell because
and that's exactly, the not having to sell to me is super important and exciting, because if you can cash flow, a mid 7-figure trades company, and you can cash flow a few $100,000 a year out of it, and after you've hired your leadership team, then like, why would you ever sell it? It's just, unless you're have this ambition to build something bigger and better, it's like you could take that few $100,000 a year and work very, very little, but just have the proper processes, systems, and training in place to have a great kick-ass leadership team. And so I just saw it as something that's like, again, I'm from just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia, so grew up pretty blue collar. Most of my good buddies are, and I was a carpenter until I went to school, and then I went into the mining industry, into the business side, and kind of transferred through a couple different iterations in that. But my heart's very close to seeing these type of companies, like whatever it's plumbing, HVAC, construction, home rentals, whatever, just finding them a lot better living is I love seeing that.
That's great. And if I can take you back, so you had your entrepreneurial journey before Profit Launchpad. Can you talk about what that was like, and what instigated going out on your own in the beginning?
Yeah, for sure. So when I finished university, I did environmental science, and then I worked in the mining industry for a few years. And great job. Like it was a tough job in the field. But because of my background in carpentry, I kind of moved into building like the setup for campsites and for drill pads, and then for big project sites, and then went into project management. And from there, one of the CEOs of the company I was working for offered me to come like on the business side, but I had to go learn more about it. So I had to go get a business degree, and then came into their company, did financing, capital raising, learned a lot about public markets and things like that. And then from there, actually, we had a technology that we spun out from one of the exploration companies. There's just an opportunity that came up in what they call acid rock drainage mitigation. So, whenever there's hard rock mining for gold or copper or silver, there's some sort of acid is typically created. It gets way more complex than that, but I'm not going to go into it for the podcast. But there was a technique somebody created to kind of remove a lot of that acid on site. And so one of the same CEO actually told me, do you want to take this idea and run with it? We'll raise some money, we'll put it into it, but you'll be the CEO, you'll run the company. So it's kind of like an entrepreneurship type thing, where it was a corporation separate from anything, but it was still very much involved with like all my logistics and support were involved in the main office. Mm-hmm. And after that, man, I was hooked. Like I haven't had a job since, even when I was doing that operational consulting, that was on my own organization. It was just contracting out. So that was like 2014, I think. No, earlier, maybe a little bit earlier. Yeah. But so that was like kind of my very formal way into it. And then I had a company in CPG, a tech company, an agency, and I've been building, and kind of one of them crashed and burned terribly. A couple of smaller ones we've either sold for kind of backdoor deals or for small deals. And then the operational consultancy was absorbed into the larger PE firm that was pretty lucrative as well. So it's been kind of crazy. Like it's been very much front lines entrepreneurship for a lot of years, um, with like large and fast kind of teams. Like really fast get acquired, go start over again. So
Mhm.
one of the things like I'm really focused on now is with Profit Launchpad is building a long-term company. So I'm building a lot slower,
Mhm.
hiring really slowly, really narrowing down on what I want to do, and then again like work with people that I want to work with, which is
Mhm.
rather than just like anyone. So it's really nice to be focusing on back on the blue collar world
Uh-huh.
and working with those type of companies and owners.
Yeah, and so the other companies you said they're moving fast, getting acquired. Was that because that was in your nature to be moving fast? Was that just the industry that you were in, like
Uh,
back then?
Both, I'd say. Like the in tech, it was kind of be like try to get acquired in 3 to 5 years,
Mhm.
and then agency was just a really good, like it just happened really fast. We just hit a niche, and that's kind of like I move pretty fast, like in
Mhm.
terms of business ideas and launching and things. I'm a big believer in just going forward with like a minimum viable product and really seeing who is interested from a baseline and then building out like the better offer in the long term. So that's very much in my nature, but it was also just like the business models that I've been working in for quite a while is build and get out, build and get out, build and get out.
And so now you're building for the long term. Yeah, that long term play. You're the foundation. How long have you been running Profit Launchpad?
So it's about 2 and a bit years now, and then the coaching side of it's less than, I think it's like 8 months. So we've just gone through uh, cohort 3, which now will focus on and really build out the like a lot more of what we've learned and taken and like, raise prices, but also just continually develop a system that works even better.
Mhm.
Um, that's always kind of the focus. And yeah, the reason I'm building a long term is the kids. Like in
Yeah.
my 20s and up to my mid 30s, it was really easy to work like 70, 80-hour weeks. And I like it. I didn't mind it at all. I actually enjoyed it.
Sure.
But the kids come along and pretty quickly realize working that much, you don't get to see them. And there's like, I don't know. I went down this path. I actually watched a YouTube video of like,
Mhm.
it's kind of a tangent, but I think it makes sense. Is like I can't even remember what it was, like NPR or PBS or something like that, and they interviewed 100 people on their deathbed, and it was like 100 for 100% of the people said, um, in their young years, their 30s and 40s, they had wished that they had worked less and spent more time with their kids when they were young. And man, that just like hit me like a truck because I at that point I think I had a 6 month, maybe my oldest, his name is August, had like maybe 6 months old, I can't remember. And I was just like, whoa, that's crazy. Like every single person. And that was from like blue collar people and like multi-millionaires, like 8 and 9 figure millionaires. So it was really like across like race and culture and religion and society. And they were all said the same thing. It was like, I worked too
Wow.
much when my kids were little, because like it's just a short time your kids are little, right? So that's really struck me and why I'm trying to build what I'm building. And honestly, it's like why I work with a lot of who I target is like dads with kids with companies and trying to get them
Mhm.
to spend more time with their kids.
Mhm. That's great to be able to align your value with your customer. Um, yeah, so that's good. And then, um, did you have entrepreneurial parents? Like, did you catch the bug from someone, or was it were you the first sort of entrant into running your own business in your family?
No, my dad is an entrepreneur. He was in software, and my mom was a school teacher, so not there. But I think yeah, for sure. Like I grew up around it. I never really thought of myself as super interested. Like I ran little businesses and things like when I was young. My buddy and I did like we cleaned out eaves troughs, for a little bit of dough, But I wasn't like obsessed with it. You know, you hear like some guys who are like, oh, I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. I never really thought about that. So it's kind of funny that I ended up in this role because I never really, even though my dad was and he was successful, I never again thought I'd really end up there. But here I am.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Have you had mentors along the way? Yeah. Where did you sort of learn? Learning by experience or different teachers?
Yeah, I have had some pretty good mentors. I haven't had like that guy is my mentor type of relationship where I have dinner with him every, like quarter for the rest of my life. But at different points in time, I've had older, whether they're entrepreneurs or they're just working professionals who were able to lean in and really like guide me on making some decisions. I feel like that's one of the hardest parts of being any type of entrepreneur is that you just get into these places where you're like, man, I got 20 decisions to make and I don't know the answer to any of them. And that's where I feel like really good mentors have been very helpful to me. Um, and I've had them it kind of crop up like at the right time, so to speak.
Mhm.
And I think you can get them from like, individuals you meet or people you pay too. Like I've had really good coaches and mentors who I've paid sometimes a lot of money, but have been really, really supportive of me and my growth and my company's growth. And I don't think I would have been able to get that support if I didn't engage with them um,
Mhm.
in whatever their program was or whatever it was,
Awesome. That's cool. And so in the last, two and a bit years with this new company, what are sort of the biggest obstacles that you've come across and how have you, managed those?
So yeah, the hardest one, and like I'm not naturally a consultant or a coach, right? Like I like building
Mhm.
companies. So my goal with my company is to I just noticed my camera went.
Yeah.
I'll reset it here. I don't know why it does that.
Mhm.
There we go.
Mhm.
Yeah, so as I said, I'm not really naturally a coach or a consultant. Like I like building the company.
Mhm.
So it's always my goal is to like hire really good coaches and consultants who are better than me and get them to work with my clients. But the so like my struggle in learning to be a really good coach and really good consultant has been I know because I'm an operations guy at the end of the day, right? Like I like systems and processes. So I see the pure value of systems and processes for any size company. And I know how to build like a really easy to follow system for a $250,000 company. And I know how to build a really complex system for a $25 million company. And uh, but trying to convince a person who's like lead flow is dog shit. Oh, can I swear or should I not swear?
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. So whose lead flow is no good, and who's maybe they're not making enough revenue per month to pay the bills, and they're not paying themselves, and their family they're not seeing them. To try to convince them to build systems can be like ridiculously hard. So
Mhm.
we the response to that we've taken and actually that we've pushed down to a lot of our clients is like start at I mean this is really basic salesmanship, but it's like what's the pain point of the client, right? So a lot of the clients I'll do a diagnosis for will have terrible systems, back end issues, profit issues, but I have to talk about revenue, I have to talk about sales and things like that in order to even get people to listen.
Mhm.
Because it's again, I've been there. I've been in this. I had that company that crashed and burned, right? So I've been in the super struggling entrepreneur space where you're like desperate for help, and it feels like nobody, everyone moves too slow and nobody knows how to help you. But so we've moved how we connect with those type of entrepreneurs, right from the get go, and be like, okay, we need to be focusing on how to get them more money so that's going to kill 85% of the stress of this job of this company is if they just have another 10 grand, 100 grand, or a million a month. Like it just scales up. And that's actually informed, when we first started the company, we had all these values of leadership, and customer service. We've actually eliminated all of our values for our clients, and our only value is don't be a cost. We just work so hard not to cost our client any money. Instead, we want to make them a lot of money, because then it becomes very easy for us to support them on the things that I know are really important, which again are like leadership training, leadership succession, getting the right people in the right seats and building the right systems so you have good profit. All those things are really important, but if you're not making enough money, they're like the least, they feel like they're the least important.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's a little bit like the chocolate broccoli. So you hold up and
100%.
say, look, we can get you the revenue and the sales, but what they actually need is the systems and the processes, because that's where the underlying cause of whatever stress or problems.
Yeah, you nailed it, man. I say that chocolate broccoli all the time. The only reason I didn't is I've done a few podcasts in the last couple of weeks, and I've said it, and they had no idea what I was talking about. I just didn't want to explain it again, but it's 100% chocolate broccoli. So it's trust, right? Like, it's super hard for any business owner right now in 2024 to trust anything you see on the internet. And I'm in the same boat. I get constantly bombarded by, we'll generate you 100 leads, we'll do all your sales, we'll create all your content, what else? Like, we'll do everything. And then you hire one guy, doesn't deliver anything. And this is like this cycle of happening over and over and over again. And it's so super hard for anyone to trust. So I find like getting in the front door and maybe like moving into performance based, so like you're growing the business on a performance basis and trying to build that trust to then move into systems, because systems improvement does cost money, but it improves profit, right? And that's like the trade-off, but it doesn't happen overnight. Like, turning on a better marketing channel, not that that doesn't happen overnight by any means, but getting a lot more leads in the door is a lot easier to see, right? One of the places we actually learned really well from in terms of how to sell is from like personal trainers and how they sell, because it's very similar. If you're selling like fat loss or something to an individual client, they have to lose fat really fast, and a lot of it. And it's like, if they don't do that, they're not going to sign up for month 2 and month 3 and month 4 of like strength gaining, right? And so it's kind of the same mentality of like, what do we show up front really strongly, and then where do we go from there?
Nice. So it's giving them like an upfront win, and then be like, oh yeah, this worked, and now they're commit to the rest of the process, and that develops that trust, like you said. And yeah, I've seen a lot of the same offers. Yeah, where people promise the world, and then they can't deliver on that. But yeah, that's great. What about just over your journey? What's one of the successes, or just one of the benefits of business ownership that that you've noticed that is a significant improvement in your life?
What is? Can you say that again, sorry?
Yeah, I'll phrase it this way. So, like we mentioned in the intro, one of your goals was to be able to spend more time with your kids. That's what's important to you. How has that changed? Between maybe when you're running the other businesses and now, what does that look like?
Oh, okay. I mean, I work from home now. So that's a really clear, like a really big win. Some days it's a struggle, but I work from home, so I'm closer to the family, no commuting and things like that. But more importantly, like one of the best parts is being able to make your own schedule, right? So I know what I need to get done, but it doesn't have to get done 9 to 5, right? There is certain things, of course, that have to get done 9 to 5, but there's stuff that I can do. So I get up pretty early. I get up at 5 in the morning and work for a couple hours before the kids get up, and then do the school thing or daycare and get them up ready for the day. And then, I stop hard at 4, and then I go pick up my son like every day. I never miss picking him up. And we usually go do something, like we'll play and we'll have dinner, and then it's bedtime. So between like 4 and 8, I'm on dad time. That's like 4 hours a day minimum I'll get, and then I'll work out or I'll work after that if I need. Typically that's like usually about 9 hours of work, so I don't typically work after that, but I'll go spend time with my wife, and or go to go for a bike ride or whatever I may do. Now it's getting a little bit darker here, so I gotta watch those. It's getting the nights aren't getting so long anymore, so I gotta start figuring out what to do earlier. But that's huge. That's huge to me, man. That 4 hours is like, there's lots of other people are working. I just turn my phone off, I throw it in a bag, and I don't look back. And it's like something that it's really hard to get if you're not running your own business, or have like a really clear boundary. And I know lots of people who don't own their own business can have that freedom, but it's something that's very different for me than a few years ago.
Yeah, that's great. And to be intentional like that and say, turn the phone off. That's dedicated time with the kids. That's super valuable. Next, like what are you working on in your business? What's sort of like the latest improvement that you're trying to make?
So yeah, good question. Two things we're doing right now. So for the coaching side, we really nailed down what we're just calling very generically the local marketing business system, or local marketing system. It's like a 5-step process for any blue collar company from zero. Like you could literally just never started your company up until probably about 1.5 million in revenue. It's like follow this process and you'll make money. And it's just trying to all we're trying to do is just like take all the confusion that is around marketing for companies, because there is, and be like, no, it's these things. Just do these things in order, and then there's little systems and processes attached to each one. And it's like from really simple stuff, like show up on time, show up clean, show up sober, and then when you halfway through the job, go put door knockers on every 5 houses up, 5 houses down, and 15 houses across the street. That's like, we've seen guys make millions doing that. And so that's like that's on the easy end. And then on the more complex end is like how to set up your website properly, how that integrates with Google Business Profile and Google Maps, and why that's important, how much you should spend there, and why you should spend like that, and like how to build. We have like template dashboards and things, so you don't have to. You get kind of like an ad report if you just install the dashboard. Super exciting stuff. I love it because I've been there many times. One of the hardest things to do when you're in early stage companies, you understand which marketing channel works. And it's like, I've seen this marketing channel, these marketing channels work over and over again. And it's not just throwing thousands and thousands of ads. It's lots of local marketing and like how to get in contact with local people and things like that. And then on the consultancy side is we're really incorporating AI into a knowledge base, kind of what we would call like a trainer, or like an operations manager bot. So it's all built in Slack, and then we have an off Slack, so off platform knowledge base that it's locked, right? It's not like it's kind of like ChatGPT, but it's not just the whole internet. So it doesn't give you a bunch of BS and bad math. It's like, here's all the systems and processes that I built for companies for years now, like 5 years. Some have made tens of millions of dollars, and I know how these systems work. And you can join on Slack and be like, hey, I'm going through Dylan's course, or I'm looking at this module that Dylan sent, and I'm not quite sure about X, Y, or Z. And you can have that conversation with the bot about that module, and it'll like be like a teacher for you. So it's like this operations manager / teacher. And so if you're like, I need a better sales process, it'll pull out a sales process that has been like, we use this sales process to generate $7 million for an HVAC company. And it'll pull it up and like show you the videos that we'll create on it and walk you through it. So I'm really, really excited about that. We're in a beta stage for that right now. That we're just testing a lot. And I'm hoping to really launch that like in earnest with all my clients 2025. I would love to say it's going to be sooner, but it's not. And then maybe spin it out as its own thing.
Mhm.
After, but I don't know. I haven't really decided about that yet. Right now, I just want to have that as a tool, like a free add-on tool to all of our clients. So that's something that they can really generate a lot more value. Eventually, I'd love it for it to be trained like on people's own businesses, but I don't have a roadmap for that quite yet.
Cool. No, that sounds super useful. So I'm sure that a lot of companies or clients, like you said, can find a lot of value from that, to be able to just generate processes like that. So you talked a little bit of, yeah, you have sort of the process that you can teach to the small business about, simple steps to improve their marketing. What does your marketing look like? Like, what companies do you connect with? Are you North America wide? Yeah, what
Yeah,
is that?
happy to take you through my whole program. So um we've it's all right now. It's mostly cold and ads. So I do a lot of content creation on LinkedIn and Instagram, and then just following the Martell method. So I'm just gonna
Mhm.
blurt out the Martell method. Is I create content, and then when people like or follow or comment on a piece of content, just reach out to them and be very personal and really care about what's going on. Like, hey, why'd you like it? What's going on? I go through their profile, go through the website. If I see anything broken on a website, I'll mention it. Try to like, oh, hey, this page is broken or this link doesn't work, or I'll go through their content and be like, oh, like I know somebody in this place. Try to add some value and generate a conversation. That's going very well. And then I also boost specific reels that are targeted at like a specific niche, and I'll boost those through ad spend. And then as people engage with those, I'll do the exact same thing again. And then I just do a copycat of that on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is more for like network referral. We do get some direct business from it, but we get a lot of referrals from it. And honestly, that's pretty much it right now. I do have a quiz funnel on my website, and I'm gonna do a VSL, which is a video sales letter for anyone. So it's like you come, and that's actually something. If you do have a lot of blue collar guys listening to your podcast, like quiz funnels on a blue collar website is actually kills it. And a
Mhm.
lot of guys won't do it, but going like having on the top in your header, like asking a question that you're actually this is a part of our program. I'll just tell the guys is if you go on Google, like you type in your company or you type in your service on Google, you'll see a list of questions. But maybe under like the first three ads, I think. Yeah, you'll see a list of questions that are most typically asked by someone searching for your service. Those, like, first of all, you should have all those questions answered on your website. Second of all, is you take one of those questions, maybe the top one, whatever one fits the best, and put it into as a quiz on the top of the header of the website. So it's like, um, what type of home renovation are you looking for, or why do you need a plumber, or something like that. And the quiz goes through a bunch of questions that leads them to either book a call, book an appointment. But it also qualifies out people who are just for what like aren't your perfect fit, right? And
Mhm.
so for me, because I'm more of a like knowledge and info worker versus like doing the service, like I have a VSL, and that's a video of me being like, hey, you made it this far, great. It sounds like you need some support from us. Here's what we do, XYZ. That's why I think it'll work for you. If they don't fit, like if they're under revenue or if they're in an industry I don't service, like if it's a hair salon, I don't know how to help a hair salon, right? So I'll be like, hey, like I'll have another video letter that'll be like, I don't know how to help. Sorry, but like here's a free module on marketing for most businesses. But here's also like give this email, which is my support email, a ring, and maybe we can hook you up with someone we know. Because I know a lot of people um, throughout North America, and I know like a hair salon agency that really helps hair salon grow like really profitably. So I love referring out if I can connect. So again, like coming back to a plumber and HVAC guy, he's like, I shouldn't do that. I don't need to do that. It's like it's actually very effective. Uh, it can whatever you can do to relieve the pain of your potential customer's problem in terms of like they don't know what's going on at their house. There's something wrong. There's a leak. There's a in the roof, or there's a leak in a pipe, or a floor is squishy. if you have things set up, and it would become kind of a lesson here, I know, but it's like if you have things set up in that quiz, it can kill and bring a lot of positive leads. And then that's what we're doing. I'm not running any PPC on Google, no Facebook ads, and that's pretty much it for now. I mean, we're always testing new stuff, right? But I found that to provide enough lead flow for now that I don't need to worry about it. In the future, we'll have to look at other worlds. Oh, and podcasts. I forgot about that. Doing podcasts, just meeting people, connecting, talking. I think it's a killer way to grow as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great tip. That's even applicable to a lot of blue collar jobs. Yeah, the quizzes, quiz funnel, solve the customer's problem. So whatever their biggest pain point is, and you talk to them how you can solve their problem. So that's super valuable. And then so on the same topic, and Dan Martel talks about this a lot, is the personal branding side. So are you doing a lot of that? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I am. I'm brand new to that. And that's, I'm still in the very uncomfortable stage of creating lots of videos and talking about it. And getting more comfortable is my kind of goal right now. So just trying to put more content out. And I do see, I mean, there's a huge long-term value in it. I don't think everyone has. I think there's a level of personality that does have to be applied to every business in 2024 and beyond that hasn't had to in the past. You know, I hear this a lot in terms of resistance from clients. So like, you know, my dad who ran a plumbing company, he never had to do videos. And you're like, yeah, you're right. That's 100% correct. But guess what? The world's changed. Like, get over it. And putting videos out of yourself talking about what you're doing for your customers and how you're excited to do it and how they're happy is essential for every single business. And I don't care if anyone says, oh, I'm doing great without it. You'll be doing better with it, because all it does is it shows that, first of all, you're doing work, like you're actually out there working, and it shows that you care about clients. And I think like everyone has not everyone, but most people have a decent website. Most people put on the right things for SEO in terms of their services. It's the only way a client can tell you apart from anyone else is either your reviews on Google, right? So if they join, like they go to the Google map, and I think like 86% of local businesses are searched on Google Maps. So it's like they go to Google Maps, plumber near me, you pop up with good reviews, but there's also 3 other companies that pop up with good reviews. The first place they're going to go is your social media, right? And they're going to look at what you're saying on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. And for me, like that's something that I've had to get over myself, of being like, how many freaking consultants are there on the internet? Like a billion. So how do I stand out? Well, you know, I have to talk about how I support clients and how I grow and what my goals personally are. And like, there's a level of vulnerability, but there's just like a level of people like doing business with people. And I feel like the business can be a bit of a blocker to doing business with people. So you have to get around your own business and show that you're a normal human, or like relatively normal human being, right? And for me, it's tough. It's so like, I'm not used to that level of vulnerability. And I think a lot of like probably people maybe listening to this podcast are not used to it. But it is what it is, man. It's the market these days. It's what the market is demanding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I've talked to a lot of people who aren't comfortable with that, but that's the next level, right? Yeah, if you want to differentiate yourself from everyone else, also they're doing all the standard things right, then and it's almost helpful that a lot of people are uncomfortable, because if you can get past that, then you just leapfrogged ahead of that whole group. So yeah, I definitely agree. It's necessary in the market. Yeah.
And even like from what I've seen, Instagram channel with a few hundred people, and just you have like decent videos, not even great, but just like showing interest and talking clearly is like, that's all that really needs to be. It doesn't need to be like 30,000, followers and hundreds of thousands of views. It's not really, it's kind of besides the point. You're not trying to become an influencer. You're just trying to convey that you're competent in your market. And I see it a lot even in B2B industrial. Like I've seen this where buyers go out for they put out a request for proposal, and they'll get a bunch of companies apply. And as long, you have to have some other parameters correct, like your price and service to offer and things like that. But then they'll go check you out, and they'll look on LinkedIn, and they'll look on Instagram, and they'll look on Facebook. And it's like if your professional pages are really tied in well with the whole kind of system, and you showing your work, and the company goes, oh, this guy's actually a professional, like they're doing things or are active. It does help. Like maybe not as much for the service side, but it's there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. I have another friend who's also in Dan Martell coaching. He owns a big concrete company in Calgary. So I'm going to call him out that even he says, no, it's industrial. They don't care about social media, but they got to look somewhere to make the decision, right? So that's where they're going to end up.
Yeah, be interesting. I think like an industrial guy like that, at least in my experience, is like do it for a year, and then but you have the system set up in the back end where you're asking, like, how did you come to a decision to choose us as your contractor? I think they'd be surprised. Honestly, I think they'd be surprised at how much it was like, oh, you know what? It was between you and another guy, and you just seemed like a cooler guy to work with, or more personal, because I watched 2 videos on your Facebook, and it's like, you wouldn't think that, but I think they'd be very surprised.
That's a great suggestion. I'll send them a clip. I'll send them the clip. Okay, and then looking forward. So looking ahead into the future for your company, if you're thinking out 5 years, 10 years, what does that look like for you, and what are you excited about?
I'm excited to build a team, a big team, like many coaches servicing many clients. So my kind of goal is 10 million plus in revenue over the next 5 years. So grow pretty big, not huge, not that fast. And then that way I can see myself just having like solving big problems, which I like, and working on big strategies, and then and ensuring that our service offers better than competitors. And on the personal side is just like hunt more, fish more, ski more. That's my goal. Spend a lot more time with the kids, get them doing those things. That's why ultimately I'm in business. I'm not really I don't really grind for the sake of grinding. I'm always trying to figure out how to like build a business to give me more free time, right?
Nice. That's great. And then, the other one I like to ask, is spirituality, faith, religion part of your life? Does it influence your business or your business trajectory?
Not really. No, like my family's, I was raised, I guess like atheist agnostic. I do, I'm like any millennial, I'm like very familiar with this, like terms of like meditation and mindfulness and stuff. So I do take like intentional time to just kind of connect with what's going on around me. And then I find a lot of, I guess you could call it like spiritual time in my hobbies of like specifically in hunting and hiking and backpacking. I love to be out in the mountains and the forest and just like sit in silence and kind of listen to what the forest or the universe has to say. And sometimes I think some of my best ideas or solving some of the hardest problems I've met have been in those moments of just like, there's nothing really being said, but kind of hearing everything type of idea. And I know it's funny when I talk to friends who are religious, they'll often be like, that's the voice of God talking to you. I'm like, yeah, I guess, but it's not something that I have in my life really at all.
But yeah, there's that connection, even in nature. And I've said the same to people, like, hunting is just an excuse for guys who look tough to go sit quietly for 8 hours in quiet contemplation.
Yeah, basically.
And not look like that's what they're doing. But that's valuable, just like time in nature. And
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
funny
and
about hunting. It's 100%. I just started bow hunting in the last couple of years, and the bow hunting is literally just sitting there, kind of trying not to judge yourself for why am I doing this to myself? Just sitting here perfectly still for 5 hours straight.
yeah, and I would say that's a meditation in itself. Like that's the same goal of meditation. You got to sit very still. So no, I think that's useful. Like for even for other people to say, yeah, disconnect and go into nature and have some time for introspection. So awesome. So where can people find you, connect with you and your company?
Best place to find me right now is on Instagram at im.dylanjones, it's Dylan, and then profitlaunchpad.com.
Perfect. Yeah, and we'll have those linked in the show notes as well, so people can just go down there and check that out.
Cool.
Well, Dylan, thanks so much for coming on. It was a pleasure having you and having this conversation.
Amazing, man. I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much for having me.